I just really quickly wanted to talk about this video that's been going around. It's about the Void Grub situation, that Void Grubs are essentially over contested and Void Grubs are pretty useless. I pretty much agree with that entire sentiment. I think this objective is completely useless. I even think in situations where Void Grubs is completely free, and it's never really free because there's the opportunity cost, obviously, of doing other things, right? But in a world where you're like, okay, they're not contesting, Void Grubs are free, even in those situations, there's almost always something better to do. And if you want to hear the entire context of LS on this, he has a video. It's about 2 hours long. I didn't watch the entire video, so I don't want to quote him on what he said. So if you want his perception on this, you can go watch the video. But basically, I agree with everything he said from what I've seen, right? I didn't watch the entire thing. I agree with everything he said. There's really no ifs and or buts about it. It's completely grief what Furia is doing here. And even not even in this game, right? Grubs are just kind of over contested and they're just a terrible objective. But this game specifically, it's completely grief for Furia to fight this. I can see a world where Furia is like a bit stressed because they can't, like, G2 is in the driver's seat right now, right? They can't really tell what G2 is doing until they act on it. They did see Nefiri on that ward on Raptor, so you can kind of infer that maybe they're going to play Grubs, but Nefiri could very easily pivot from red buff to dragon. She could. So I can see a world where Furia is stressed. But you do not want to set up for these Grubs. These are just not, this is just not in your best interest, right? What Furia can do is, because if they're scared of some dive topside, you can't really defend it. If you defend it, you're investing way too much to defend the dive. It's better to do some crossplay, but that's aside the point. I mean, Camille can just drop some wards topside on this timer, right? And defend the dive for Mbessa, and she'll have to give up some waves if they do choose to dive, which they should if they take Grubs and Mbessa's alone, right? But she would have to give up the waves, and Furia here, assuming or inferring that Nefiri's playing for Grubs, they should have just fully pivoted to Dragon a little bit before this, right? Lee Sin takes a couple camps top to mitigate any losses in his jungle, because he will lose camps for this. But that's okay, right? And you go play for the Dragon. But what Furia choose to do is they choose to go for this Grub fight, which, aside from the fact that Akali and Lee Sin don't have ult, so this fight is completely losing. Like, the fight's already hard, even if Akali and Lee Sin have ult, and it's just easily winning for G2, even though they're down gold, but that gold doesn't really mean anything. Like, you get, 800, or sorry, you get like 300 more HP on Lee Sin, right? The gold doesn't really mean anything. But this fight's losing even with the ults. Without their ults, this is like literally like win trading levels, okay? But let's talk about how this fight should go, right? Or which team is stronger, essentially. So Leona, Camille. Let's go one by one. Leona, Camille. Leona's just, I'd say they're like relatively equal. But Leona's just 10 times more useful. Right? So give it to Leona there. Syndra versus Jhin. It's not even a question. Like, Syndra in every single scenario is just going to be more useful. Akali versus Galio. Akali, I would say, is technically stronger, but that doesn't mean anything, right? Even if she has ult, that doesn't mean anything. She can't do anything into their comp. She has no way of going in without just getting deleted. She has no way of going in without getting CC. Galio can completely zone her. Nefiri has W. She can't go on Gnar. That's a terrible target to go on. You'll lose the fight if you go on Gnar. She's going to get CC'd by Leona, and she can't even touch Syndra. Syndra is playing in Narnia with her full kit up, right? Akali can't play the game. And Galio's just 10 times more useful into their comp. Even though Akali is technically stronger at this point, like, stronger. I don't even know how to say that, because like, she's stronger, but she's not more useful. You know what I mean? Galio's just 10 times more useful. He's better into the champions, and he can peel for his team, which are just gonna kill the entire enemy team if Galio can peel. Fury and Lee Sin. They are relatively equal, but again, same thing with Akali. Nefiri's just gonna be able to play the fight way easier, because Nefiri can dive in. There's literally nothing to peel for Nefiri if she wants to. If she finds a good angle, she could dive in, or she can just play back and just let the enemy come into them and just win the fight. So Nefiri is just going to be 10 times more useful. Plus, Nefiri, I'll talk about this in a bit, but Nefiri is just always better than Lee Sin. Like, 1v1, just always better. So even in a world where they don't take this fight, Nefiri is just going to be stronger. But And then top lane, Mbessa versus Gnar. I mean, both champions are pretty useless, especially if Gnar doesn't have his mega form, which is about to run out. So both champs are useless, but Mbessa can't even join the fight. I mean, she's stuck on her turret. And let's say a world where she does join the fight, she drops the wave. I mean, one, she's missing XP, and two, like, she still literally can't play the game. She's just not a champion at this point. So Furia can't even play this fight. Not only that, what do the grubs do? Like, they literally, I don't even think they change your win percentage if you get the grubs, to be honest, because I think the opportunity cost of what you could be doing over the grubs is probably just better. Like, I actually think you get the grubs, even for G2. I think G2 should play a dragon. You get the grubs, I don't even think your win rate changes, right? But if you're Furia and you have like a 30% chance of winning this fight, sorry, okay, Furia G2 are probably right now, let's say for fun, they're at like a 50% win rate chance of the entire game. But Fury has like a 30% chance of winning this fight. If you win the fight, let's say you get let's say by some miracle, Fury wins the fight. Gets 2 kills and gets 2 grubs, because then Fury's just going to get 1 here, right? Because she can always just smite 1 and get away. Let's say you get 2 kills and 2 grubs as Furia. Your win rate maybe goes up, I don't know, 4 or 5%, which is a good chunk, but that's not going to win you the game. But if you do lose this fight and you have a way harder time of winning the fight, just because of your champions and your ults, let's say you lose the fight, right? Your game is completely over. You get outscaled in every single lane, and the only advantage you had was playing creatively early game with your champions to snowball a big enough lead to just end the game. But you take an unfavorable fight and you just completely lose the game over it. Where if they don't play this fight, right, and they go for the dragon, because they can infer Leona's opening topside, right? And Bess is going to drop some waves, sure. But you get the dragon, and you can play for a play spot. It's just split. Even if you end up losing out a little bit more gold topside, your fight at second dragon looks so much better. Whereas at your fight at second dragon, if you lose this fight, which they will lose this fight if they take it, there's no world where you win this. You take this fight, second dragon, you can't play the game. You literally just can't. You're going to be suffering the entire time. And I did some math. Now, this isn't perfectly accurate, but I took the gold average throughout the tournament for carries, and assuming this dragon gets taken a minute later, and then a respawn of 5 minutes, obviously that's not perfectly accurate, but I just did it as an estimate, 6 minutes. And of course, this number also isn't accurate because gold income increases as the game goes on because there's more waves, you kill waves faster, more kills, Baron, all this, right? So this is actually going to be a little bit lower, but if we're talking about second dragon, right, with 2,500 extra gold, Lee Sin's looking at like 1.5 items. Everyone's probably looking at like 1.5 items. Now, at 1.5 items, the matchups actually change a little bit, right? Camille is now stronger than Leona. Leona can be more useful if she finds picks, right? But now Camille's actually a champion, so she can actually play the game. Level 4, Camille's not a champion in this game. Like, yeah, Camille's pretty strong if she can go for ganks and stuff, but in a team fight like Grubs here, Camille's just not a champion for that team. She has no targets to go on ever. And she just gets CC'd any world where she goes in. But once she gets like 1 item, an ult, she can actually play the game, right? It actually creates some way for a Kali to play the game as well. Jhin at 1 item, still gonna be more useless than Syndra by far. But Syndra still isn't that strong yet. They're both kind of kill 1 champion and that's all, right? Jhin can ult from far, kill 1 champion. Syndra's a little bit stronger at that, but I don't think it's so much stronger that's going to make much of a difference at 1 of an item as it is to this. Obviously, Syndra is still stronger, but it's not as big of a difference as it is at this point. So you have a way better chance at second dragon, right? Akali has a much easier time playing the game on second dragon when she's level 11 and has an item and a half. Lee Sin into Naafiri. Now, Naafiri is generally stronger versus Lee Sin, just 1v1. In a team fight, I'd say they're relatively equal. 1.5 items, it's easier. It's easier for Lee Sin to play the game into Naafiri as the game goes on. So, in a world where you have a losing fight early game and you're playing into a bad champion, you should just not take it. But as the game goes on, that matchup gets better for Lee Sin. And then top lane, Mbessa is still relatively weak at 1.5 items, but she's not giga useless at 1.5 items. If she hits ult on Syndra, especially if Syndra doesn't have flash, she's just dead. So she can actually still play the game. I'd say it's still slightly G2 favored at 1.5 items, but your win percent isn't 30-70 anymore, right? And you might even get some more gold accumulation from dropping these grubs and going to play for something else to where you have a bigger gold lead than that. Whereas if you take this fight and you lose it, your game's just over. But let's just assume they don't take this fight and we're not going to give them a bigger gold lead. We're just going to say both teams are 1.5 items. Your win percentage for the fight for blue team goes way up. It's still favored for G2, but you have a way better chance of doing something. So I think the main takeaway from this is if like, I don't think that necessarily the problem is that grubs are useless. And now, yes, grubs are useless. I think the main problem is teams just don't think about like what's actually going to give them a better chance of winning the game. And that's what's the important part, not, you know, oh, who gets the objective, right?